What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Living by the F Word. Today, I'm going to be talking about Arc Music Festival, which is a festival I just attended over Labor Day weekend in Chicago. So excited to have experienced this festival for the first time and really looking forward to chatting about it with you. So let's get into it. What's up, fam? Welcome back to my channel, Living by the F Word. I do talk about F words I'm passionate about here, and festivals is one of them. Also, my name is Jess, just in case you are new, and welcome to the ARC Music Festival recap and review. If you are new to my reviews, I do this kind of like in a podcast format. I do a deep dive into things that festival attendees find really useful or important at festivals. So I will be covering a lot of topics, including how to get there, the parking, the venue, music, highlights and daily recaps, art and activities, food, vendors, staff, volunteers, overall experience, the price. I go deep into all of it, and I sprinkle in a lot of feedback for the festival producers so that they can improve for next year. So let's jump into the first topic, which is kind of just a background of ARC Music Festival in case you are unfamiliar. Let's talk about it. All right, so ARC Music Festival is a house and techno festival that caters to those genres of dance music, and it's located in Chicago over Labor Day weekend. It was 3 days this year, and honestly, it has this unique kind of feeling being there since Chicago is where house music was created, and also Detroit, which is not far from there, is where techno was created. So being in the Midwest, being where those two subgenres were basically where they evolved from, is like really this special feeling, because you could tell like a lot of the fans are there truly love this music. So Chicago is a great host city as well. Not that it's just the birthplace of this music, but it's absolutely gorgeous city, especially when the weather is great. I've been to Chicago many times and I just love this city. It has so much to offer. So it really kind of kills two birds with one stone, being in this city that you can explore for a little bit if you've never been there. There's a lot of great bars, and you could do the river walk, the bean. There's so many little touristy things you could do if you want to fit that into your schedule, along with the festival, of course. And then they do host after hours, or what they call ARC After Dark, every night at various warehouses, various clubs throughout the city. So you really do get a taste of like Chicago nightlife as well if you visit this festival. So this was the second year that ARC took place. The first year was in 2021. And this year was my first year attending. And the reason being is because I went to a different festival last year, which was Elements Festival, which I absolutely had an incredible time. I have zero regrets with that decision. I based my decision basically off of Elements being a hometown fest. I could drive to that festival instead of flying. Also, it was a camping festival, and I do find camping festivals a little bit more affordable than city festivals. And ARC was in its first year, and I just wasn't sure, right? You just don't know what's going to happen with a first year event. But all my friends that went to ARC last year, they just told me how amazing it was. They were like, you have to go, you have to check it out. And this year, I decided not to go to Burning Man, which is where I usually am Labor Day weekend. So the fact that it just kind of all fell into place really worked out. I was like, I'm going to ARC. Let's do it. Everyone said it was incredible. Let's try a new festival. And I'm just so happy I went. It was absolutely incredible. So, a little bit of a story time. How I ended up attending was my friend Khalees, who is one of my friends from Groove Cruise, couldn't go to ARC anymore. She was in training to become a flight attendant, and anyone that subscribed to this channel or has been following me for some time knows that I also am a flight attendant, but I'm also a flight attendant instructor for a major airline. So I definitely knew like what she was going through, and like to not be able to go, I was like, don't worry, I got you. I will buy your ticket. I'll buy your ticket. I'll buy your spot. So she was like, yeah, I already booked the Airbnb, and you're going to be staying with these Groove Cruisers, lots of them, which were all I've been friends with for close to 10 years, some of them. So I was just like, done deal. It's all set up. Let's do it. So I just want to shout her out. So, and also say congratulations because she graduated. And so she gave me her ticket and I had an amazing time. So I just want to shout her out. And then just want to shout all my GC roommates out: Gio, Scotty, Dorothy, and Christmas Carol. Thank you guys for being awesome roommates this weekend. It really was a lot of fun and it just, everything worked out. So, just that's kind of how I ended up going to ARC this year. It was like very kind of last minute, and I'm just happy that it worked out that way. So there were three different tier types with the tickets. There was regular GA, there was global, which is their VIP option, and then there's an icon option, which is basically like a VIP plus. I had the global because I bought it from Khalees, so yeah, I bought that ticket from her. So normally I'm a GA person and I normally don't do any type of VIP, but I'm kind of glad I had VIP, and I'm going to get into those reasons as we get into the different sections about the actual festival. ARC does have a frequently asked question page like every other festival, and they do recommend that you take public transportation or an Uber to the festival. They said that there's no parking on site, which is true. I do have some friends that drove there and they found parking like 10 minutes walk from there, so it just kind of depends. And then you would have to pay the city meter if you did decide to park your car. The easiest way to get to the festival is to take the Blue Line, which is the Chicago Metro train. That is basically what is recommended by a lot of people, and it's pretty easy to use. If you choose to use that, they do have a Ventra app, which is how you could track trains and buy tickets. It's all done digitally instead of having an actual Metro card. So you just download that first, and then you're able to use that. We actually didn't use the Metro as much as we thought we would. Our Airbnb was not even 2 blocks from the Metro. We could see the tracks from our Airbnb, but we were told by numerous people that we're friends with from Chicago that the area that we were in was like not really the best suited to be taking the Blue Line, especially at night, or to be walking around at night. So most of the time we just took Uber for convenience purposes, as well, just because if we were running late, we were just like, okay, let's just hop in an Uber instead of having to deal with the public transit. So it's really just like a personal preference. I do think that next year I would like to try to stay in a hotel that is within walking distance from the festival, so I don't even have to worry about any of that, because the Uber prices really did start to get pricey, especially going to the after hours every night and stuff like that. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the venue a little bit. So, the location of the festival is in Union Park, which is a city park in Chicago. It's very small, which I loved. I loved the scale of the festival. I think that they said they could hold up to about 20,000 people there. So, it was like the perfect size. It was so easy to get around. You could just bounce from stage to stage. I just absolutely loved that about the venue. It was probably one of my favorite things because I tend to lean towards smaller festivals. I like intimate festivals. I like festivals where you can run into people. I like being able to not have to spend 20 minutes walking to a stage and then all of a sudden you're not feeling that set and you're like, well, I just walked 20 minutes here. Now I have to walk 20 minutes back to get somewhere else. And so there was just not that vibe at all. And I just loved it so much. I'd say the walking distance between the stages were probably like anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes max for the entire venue, like from every single stage, depending on where you're at. Maybe the most 7 minutes, but it was just so small, easy to like boop, 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 get where you wanted to go, get to where you wanted to meet up with friends. So I really loved that. The cons of the venue, honestly, not that many. I really loved it. There was grassy areas, there was areas with trees, they had a road where all the vendors were at. I just loved the scale of it. I really don't have any cons about the venue itself. Like, I just hope that as the festival grows, they don't move locations, honestly, because yeah, I just loved how it was set up. All right, so for stages and production, going to talk about the 4 stage areas that they had, and I'm going to start off with the grid, which is basically their main stage area, and it is inspired by the grid system of Chicago. It was a really beautiful stage to look at. So it basically was like the largest area for the attendees. It was constructed of shipping containers, about 18, I think they said there were. And it was like hand painted, and it looked like kind of like a city skyline with all the ARC branded colors. So you had like the blue, the yellow, and the green colors. So it was just really well branded. Like it had the color scheme of the festival, it was cohesive with their branding. It was painted by, I think it's Javi Pannington, and he's done a lot of the murals on shipping containers at EDC Las Vegas as well, and lots of different building murals. So I just liked the look of that stage. And then they had LED squares with panels on each of the stacked shipping containers. So there was like 3 separate stacks on each side, plus LED screens behind the DJ. It was just, honestly, as I was editing my vlogs, I realized how much I actually really loved this stage. I was thinking that like there was another stage that was my favorite, but as I was editing this vlog, I was like, wow, this stage was really beautiful, because the VJs did like an awesome job keeping it super colorful and lively. And then there was like pyro, there was like, the CO2 air or whatever that they blow out at the clubs and stuff. And so like overall, it was just really well put together, I thought. Now, behind the main GA area, there was 3 areas for VIP people. So there was like a platform and a bar and an area for the Icon members, which was kind of back towards, if you're facing the stage, to the back left. In the center, there was a VIP platform where Icon and VIP, regular global VIP people could go. And they had like a bar on the top tier. Basically, it was 3 tiers. So they had a bar on the top tier, and then they had couches and chairs and like kind of like rugged areas with plants and like places for people to chill on the 2 lower levels. So that was super nice. There also was a VIP viewing area on like the right hand side, and that was for artist guest passes. I did think that was kind of a large area for maybe not so many artist guests. If I'm being honest, it was kind of like this massive, just as massive as the VIP and Icon areas. So it was kind of big in my opinion, but I don't really know how many people were artist guests. So maybe it did fill up at certain points. They also had a VIP viewing area on the left-hand side of that stage, which was always wide open. Even GA, honestly, GA was wide open at this stage the entire time. There was always room to dance, always room to find people. So yeah, really, really liked the vibes at this stage. Also, behind those areas, there were the VIP bathrooms, which had flushable toilets that were air conditioned. So that's always a plus when you have those type of restrooms at a festival, especially during the day when it's hotter out and you're not like in a hot porta potty. They had regular porta potties too that were always clean. Like if there was lines for the flushable ones, which there really was never lines. I really never saw lines. But if you just like had to use a porta potty quick, like they were always clean. They weren't nasty or anything in the VIP area. So that was really good. My feedback for the grid area is I wish they had a little bit more couches and lounge chairs for the VIP. These areas were equally spaced out, so it wasn't like they were overcrowded with the couches and the chairs. But ultimately, what was ending up happening was, especially during larger acts, people were like reserving those areas for themselves only. Like they weren't sharing them, even though we all like had access to them. So like there were some times where me and my friends were like, hey, can we like sit there for like a minute, if you don't mind? And they would be like, yeah, sure. And like, let us. But then like after a while, they're like, okay, we're going to sit there again. And it's like, it was kind of like this weird vibe. I only had that at the grid stage. I didn't really feel that like at the other VIP areas, but it was kind of like, okay, like, we all have VIP. I get you were here first, but like to keep it for the like entire night was kind of odd in my opinion. So I don't know. I just hope that they'll maybe add a few more for people, because ultimately like there was times where I was sitting on the rug because I just was tired. I was like, I need to sit, like I need to sit down. So add more chairs and tables chairs at least if possible. Also, your bartenders, they need light up on the bar at the VIP area at the grid there. There was one night where I had my headlamp out to go get a drink, and the bartender was like, "Whoa, I need one of those." And like, I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty dark up here." It was like really hard for them to see. So if you want to sell more alcohol, I would light them up a little bit more. And then the last thing was there was this area where it said global and icon, and it was an entrance, and it just didn't really make sense because it was the area for the icon attendees to go into, and then like we as global attendees couldn't go in there, but we could walk behind this bar and get to the VIP viewing area on that was on the left side of the stage, but we could just walk through this other entrance. I don't know how to explain it, but it was kind of just confusing. It probably should have just said icon. So very minor things, but just a little bit of suggestions for that. The second stage area was expansions. And this was kind of like their second main stage, I would say. It was like the second largest area for attendees. It was constructed of wood and like tree foliage and LED lights. And then it was the stage that was kind of surrounded by all these trees. The stage design instantly reminded me so much of the main stage at SXM Festival. Like it was so similar, the shape of it. It kind of just had that vibe of SXM Festival, BPM Festival, like a destination style event where but you're in the city in a park, right? So it was like kind of cool how it transported you like that. There were, yeah, lots of trees surrounding this stage, the icon and global viewing areas. They had some platforms towards the back left where you could see like kind of elevated over the crowd. And then up in the front right hand side of the stage, they had a full area with a bar. They had couches, swing chairs, and also flushable toilets that were air conditioned there, along with regular porta potties. So kind of just like your own section to go to the bathroom and hang out. The platforms up by the side of the stage, though, like up on stage right, only icon people could use those. So just something to keep in mind if you decide to do VIP next year, that just regular global VIP, like we were allowed in the area, like and in the viewing area up right by the stage, but not on the platforms. My feedback for expansions is, so I did some digging and I looked at the stage design from the first year, and I feel like it was downgraded a little bit, honestly. Like the first year, it had so many more like wooden sculptures, and like kind of like the stage design just looked way more intricate. So I honestly, I loved this stage. Like I'm usually not huge on like needing like massive production, really, honestly. Like I'm really definitely more of like, what are the vibes like? But yeah, I just think that it got toned down a little bit, and it may have just been because they put into so much production at the grid, which was obvious. So it could have just been that, but I guess like maybe just work in some more wooden sculptures and things like that to the stage. That would be my feedback. Third stage area that I'm going to be talking about is the Elrow tent. So this was another large stage area that was inside of a tent, obviously, with a complete Elrow takeover. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Elrow, it is a Spanish brand that is just known for insane parties. They have a ton of confetti, inflatables. They have performers. It's like super wacky and fun. There was a global and VIP viewing area on the left-hand side of the stage. And I'm just gonna go right into this unpopular opinion. Honestly, I know it's gonna be an unpopular opinion, but I did not feel this stage at all. Like, was not having it at all. And maybe it's because I honestly feel like Elrow has been overhyped in the United States so much from the beginning. When it first came in 2016, I went in 2017, and I felt like I was so excited to go. And then I felt like disappointing leaving that event. So once again, I was just so excited for Elrow Tent because I feel like everyone's like, it's the best. Oh my God, it's so much fun. And I just didn't have that experience here. So I don't know. I maybe it's just I have high expectations because of how much everyone else loves it. And then it's just not what I think it's going to be. And there's a few reasons why I feel like maybe I was disappointed, and it really has nothing to do with like the Elrow brand themselves or the performers or like the artists they put on, because all the artists on the Elrow stage is really my type of music. All the tech house, all the house, like there's some of my favorite performers that were on this stage. I don't think it like has to do with any of that so much. I think what it has to do with is the fact that it was overcrowded and hot. Straight up. It's not that I don't recognize like what it takes to put on that type of traveling party. Like, I understand all the hard work that gets put into it, and I understand that these performers are carrying things, they're walking on stilts, like they pour their heart and their soul into performing there, and I'm not diminishing that at all. It's just that I found it hard to enjoy music there because it was overcrowded. Their VIP area was total shit there. And yeah, it was just hot, and that was the bottom line. So, with that, here's my feedback for the Elrow stage. The global and icon setup, it was awful. It was a very small section. Most of our time, our friend group just kind of stood around the back area, the back entrance near the bar. There was nowhere to sit in there like the other VIP areas. All the other VIP areas had somewhere to sit. There was absolutely nowhere to sit. There was at one point where the day that I had gone in from the very beginning, so from 2 p.m. all the way to the end, I ended up sitting like there was like this wooden kind of like thing in front of the bar that I ended up sitting on just because I was like, I needed a break because I'm going to be here for 10 hours. They need to add some sort of seating, even if it's like stadium seating that kind of like are like benches or something that are like portable benches. They just need to do something with that whole area. They need to open it up. They need to make more room because there was not enough room for all the people that were in a VIP ticket, whether they were global or icon. Like the combination during the big acts, it was I was always towards the back, and my vlog footage, you could see that it was total shit. Like, because I'm not the type to go into the crowd. So yeah, just need to do something about that whole area. They need to either open it up more inside of the tent, or I don't really know. But yeah, there was nowhere to sit. There was like these concrete, like kind of, I don't know what they were, but people were sitting on those. But yeah, they need to do something about that whole area. And then just in general, with the tent in general, they need to add some type of fans, misters, something, because it was so hot. I literally felt like I was at the Ultra Worldwide stage like in 2012 before they redesigned it to be that like that giant arch. It was a tent very similar to this tent, and it was like unbearably hot and so enjoyable, like even if you went into the GA area. And there was I think it was the third night. Yeah, I was actually in the GA area because I hated the VIP area so much. And I saw a girl like pass out, and their friends were carrying her to the medical tent. I had to show them where the medical tent was. Like, it was just way too hot. Need fans, need misters, something like that in there. Or I really think they should convert it into an open air format like they do in a lot of their performances in Spain. Like, a lot of their shows in Spain are like at these open festivals where they still create that same type of vibe that Elrow is known for. So I think they should look into doing that for ARC as well. All right, and the final stage was the ARC car, which was a stage powered by the Good Bus, which is a full-length rear-engine school bus, and it's been converted into a fully functional mobile sound stage. The Good Bus has partnered with multiple festivals in addition to ARC, like Summer Camp, Spring Awakening, North Coast. They've also hosted a legendary after hours multiple times at Electric Forest with Eval, Chicago. So yeah, just really kind of well known in the festival scene. So the way that the Good Bus was, they had basically just like a table with decks right behind the bus. Like, the bus was the backdrop basically, and there was like this fake grassy area, and then behind the DJ they had the art installation by Toy UK Studio, I think it is, called The Circle of Life, which was a really cool photo op, and I'll get into all the art and stuff later. But that's basically how it was set up, and I think it was done that way just because they had gotten feedback the first year that there was a lot of sound bleed with the DJs being up on top of the bus. This year, the only artist that performed on top of the bus was Deepfake, and I believe it's just because they have this entire audio visual performance that they put into all of their shows. So they actually had visuals that they create inside of the bus plus lasers and all that, and they were closing out the festival. So they did perform on top of the bus, but all the other DJs didn't. They performed just how it was set up the rest of the weekend. Personally, I think for how close the stages were, I didn't think the sound bleed was that bad, like for how close they were. I mean, literally, the good bus was right next to the right hand side of the grid stage, which was the main stage. And then the Elrow tent was not far from there either. So the fact that you had these kind of separate areas in such a close, like, proximity was kind of mind blowing to me. So I think they did a pretty good job. I would say that the con is that there was sound bleed, obviously, like you in certain areas that you stood, you just kind of had to like find the sweet spot, honestly, and then it was fine, I think. But yeah, I do think like having the DJs not on the bus helped because they had the speakers facing towards the bus, and then the bus kind of acted as this barrier in between the grid, if that makes sense. So, I mean, personally, I still think it worked. I still liked it. I thought it was like a really small, fun, intimate stage, and it hosts like a lot of the local Chicago and kind of Midwest acts there. So there was a lot of people that I recommended that you go check out there. So hopefully you got to see some of those sets because I really enjoyed my time there. Just going to dive briefly into the music. So, just a reminder, I do have daily vlogs out on my channel for each day, day 1, day 2, and day 3, which kind of takes you into the day from start to finish, including the arc after dark after. So, definitely go check those out for the full experience. I am going to go over my top sets though, like I usually do. So, my top sets for day 1 on Friday were Casablanca. I was so excited that I got to catch them. They were such an incredible performance. I guess I would describe them as like kind of like a more like melodic house. My friend Matt said he would describe them as more of like a progressive melodic house. So yeah, they were like a live act, live singing. Just oh my god, it was so amazing. I'm just so happy I saw them. So they were one of my top acts. Panpot was another one. I have not seen Panpot since probably 2014 Time Warp. Like, what? It was so long. And I remember I was like, let's go like pop over for their set and then pop over here. Never left their set. Just never left. Ended up staying. Just absolutely incredible. It was so killer. And my final top set for that day was Anna. I don't know. I don't know what she goes by. I call her Anna, but oh, she fucking killed it, you guys. Go watch my vlog. She was so amazing. I got into her when I think I already said this in my artist recommendations, but I got into her during 2020 when we were all isolating and I was on a layover stuck there for 40 hours and Beatport was streaming all these DJs and that's how I discovered her and she was just incredible and she was incredible at this set too. Absolutely just destroyed it. Just going to dive into a few of the cons for day 1. So day 1, the credit card machine was down at first, which was totally not cool because this was an event that was, described as a cashless event. And I didn't bring cash and I never bring cash with me. So I literally only had like $16 on me. And when I went to the bar, they were like, well, do you have any cash on you? And I was thinking like, oh, like, I guess they're going to somehow make cash work or something. And so I paid them the, $15 for the drink. And then basically like they put it in their tip jar. And like after the fact, I started realizing I'm like, okay, so they're kind of just like pocketing that money instead of just telling people like go away like until we fix it or something like that. So like I get it. Like their bartenders are trying to make money. But like at the same time, I was like, what? Like, this is messed up. You know what I mean? Like, that's messed up. Like, I get it, technology and stuff, but I don't know. That was kind of something that was a little frustrating the first day, but they did fix it, which was good. The second thing that was kind of frustrating on day 1 was, and this really has nothing to do with ARC at all, I think this is honestly like an artist issue, was Boris Breja was one of my top artists to see. I have not seen him. He was one of my top artists to see, and we saw a little bit of his set. He was closing out day 1, and we decided to leave early at around 9:30 to beat the crowd because we did leave early every day to beat the crowd a little bit. And we decided to skip most of his set because we were seeing him after hours at Radius. Well, we showed up to Radius at 1 a.m. and his set was over because his set was 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. I'm sorry. That's bullshit and unacceptable. Like, that is not cool at all. This is after hours. Like, let's be real. After hours is after hours. Either if you're gonna be headlining after hours slot, you gotta be at after hours. Like I don't consider midnight to 1 after hours. Not even in LA, which literally you could be in LA and you would still not be on from 12 to 1. You'd be on from 1 to 2 at least. You know what I mean? Like, and no hate on my people from LA, but straight up, we all know LA closes early. And even in LA, a headliner wouldn't go on that early. So it was very frustrating. I was really not happy. I was really disappointed. And like I said, I don't think this really has to do anything with ARC or, whatever. It probably has to do more with Radius and their contract or, whatever with the artists. So highly disappointed with that, and hopefully they will never do that again. Whoever's in charge of booking main acts, hopefully they will never ever do that again, because the rest of the weekend, all the other main acts, they were going on till 3 or 4. So don't know. Like I said, think it was more of an artist issue, but now I've said my piece on that. Let's move on. All right, so day 2, the top sets for me were Shalina Manahutu, I think is how you say it, her daytime set. So I saw her twice, and in the day 2 vlog, you could see that I saw her twice. I saw her at the festival, and then she opened up for Joseph Capriati at After Hours, and I loved her daytime set. She just kind of like was mixing in like a lot of this like kind of like hip hop. It was like really, it was like house, but like lots of hip hop samples. It kind of just like was the perfect vibe for during the day set. And it was so hot and humid on Saturday. Like it was way more hot than I thought it was going to be. So yeah, like I really liked her set. Joseph Capriati, I loved his festival set too. I saw him twice that day as well, but his festival set, I kept kind of going here, there, and everywhere. So I don't really feel like I saw his full set, but anytime I was at his set, I was like, damn, he's throwing down. Like, of course he is. Of course he is, Capriati. But anyway. And then, of course, Carl Cox, obviously, he's just a legend. Like, I have seen that man every opportunity I get to, and I just always feel like I'm in love. I'm in love. He does disco, he does techno, he does it all. Like, it's just makes it work because he's absolutely incredible. So those were my top sets of that day. There was a lot of moving around because I got in at 2, and then there was also like a lot of sitting that day as well, just because of all the moving around. So, I mean, I don't really feel like there was like one that like super stands out to me like some of the other days, but I would say those were my top sets of that day. And the cons for that day were, we got there at 2 and they wouldn't let us in until like 2:15 or 2:20. So I, didn't really like that because we were there for a reason. The set's time start at 2, and they kept telling us like, we're waiting for the go to let you in. We're waiting for the go. I don't really understand why we were waiting. Like, what were we waiting for? Like, we heard the music playing at the grid in line. So I don't really get why that happened. And so, yeah, I kind of missed like half of, by the time we actually got in, went to the bathroom and got to the stage, like missed half the opening set that I went there in the first place to go for. And I never go that early. So I think I was kind of like just a little annoyed because I never go that early. And then here I am, I go early and I wasn't allowed in. So it was kind of like, all right, whatever. The other thing that kind of was a con that day was their main water station was down, and it was relocated and there were signs, but none of the staff knew where it was. So like, we had just come from Elrow. We went back over to Elrow, went over to kind of where the bars were on the side stage, right? And I asked them, I was like, do you know where they moved the water station? And none of them knew. And I kind of was like about to like be like, well, like it was just so hot. And like, I was like, if I need to buy water, I'm literally gonna like flip a shit because waters were $7. So I was like, I'm not buying water. Like, where is this water station? And then we finally found it. It was like this tiny little water station that they put like kind of behind the grid in between Elrow. So like, luckily they did have water. So I was very happy. And then they did get the large one up and running again later in the day. But it was just kind of like one of those things where like a lot of people know on my channel, I'm so like adamant about festivals having water and having water like in a location where you could find them. So like, it was just kind of like, well, their main one was hidden, then it was not working. And then I was worried about it not ever, coming back, but it did. So it got resolved. So a lot of the issues, like even the credit card issue day one, this issue, it was resolved. So like they really were on top of their shit. So like, they did a good job. Now, for the final day, day 3 on Sunday, I feel like there were so many top sets, and I went in so late. Like, I went in at like 4 or something, but I just felt like the vibes on day 3 were so amazing at all the sets. But I would say my top sets were Vintage Culture, Fat Boy Slim, and Deep Fake. Those were probably my top 3 sets. Fat Boy Slim was incredible. I did not want to leave. I only saw like half his set because then I split my time between him and Deepfake. And I love Deepfake. I feel like closing out the festival with them was the right move. Like it was just really like fun. And like I loved like the techno. They did some bass tech, which was super surprising. They like had it all in there. They closed with Io's Castles in the Sky remix, I think it was. And like it was just like such an awesome moment. So yeah, those were my top sets, and no cons for day 3. The weather held out for us. It did drizzle a little bit, but it felt good. I feel like I met new friends that day as I was leaving the festival, which is kind of like a hilarious story for another time because this video, all my recap videos are always way, way too long. But yeah, I took them to afters with me. We went to After Hours, Good Sex, and Deepfake hosted a private after hours party. So that party was really awesome. And there's no footage of that because they didn't want cameras there. So I just want to say thank you to them because that was like a really nice party and it was greatly appreciated, all the hospitality there. Yeah, overall, daily recaps, like you could see my vlogs, like amazing time. Absolutely amazing time. Okay, so let's talk about the art and activities that they had. So for art, they had Rise by Michael Benisti. I did wish that Rise would spit fire because that was a Burning Man art piece that spit fire, and it would have been so sick if it spit fire like the same time as the pyro on the grid stage, which is where it was kind of located by. But still, nonetheless, like the art there this year, I love that they had the large scale art there. I loved that they had art pieces that I was familiar with because it like made me feel like I made the right choice, like being there, if that makes sense. The second art, large scale art that they had was Mariposita, which is by Chris Carnabucci. Now, this is a piece of art that I connected with majorly at Burning Man 2019. And like, I was just so excited when I saw them post that it was going to be at ARC. And it was just so cool to see it in a totally like different environment, like surrounded by trees and with leaves. And I don't know, it was just really beautiful. We also had the Circle of Color by Toy Studio UK, which is that kind of like color wall that was behind the Good Bus. Great photo op. Loved it, like just was so nice. They also had the Lions of Steel by Reared in Steel, which was kind of by the entrance, the GA entrance, and I don't really think I got a picture or video of them at all. Like I think because I never walked in that way, so like I never even stopped there. They also had a shipping container that was painted kind of like all in yellow and black, and it, like so many people did so many sick photos there and had such amazing fashion. Like I did a whole like reel on my Instagram of the fashion there. It was super super nice. There also were kind of like these beams in this sitting area that was kind of by that shipping container. To me, I think that it was like misplaced. Like I feel like that area would have looked better over by the expansion stage because that was like the whole vibe over there was trees and things built of wood. So I think that sitting area would have like made more sense over at expansions. But all the art was like really cool. Like I thought it was great. Like I loved the large scale art, really great photo ops, just amazing to do meetups and things like that there as well. We did do like a big Groove Cruise family meetup at the Rise statue, so that was awesome. So yeah, it was just on point, the art. It was just the right amount. I feel like they had like one large piece at each stage, so it was really good. As far as activities, they didn't really have activities at all for like GA or regular global VIP. I know that they had like the 360 camera inside the icon area, and they had like private artist parties and an artist lounge and stuff like that in the icon area, but Yeah, they didn't really have any activities like most other festivals, which I think is okay because this festival is just so small. But since they do host it in a park, I do think that they could in the future, maybe do something like a cornhole area or like something like that, like because there's people that do like to step away from the music and like take a break and do something different besides just going to music, you know what I mean? So I think they could in the future add something like that in there. All right. So for food and vendors, there were lots of food options, lots of food trucks. They did have island noodles. I feel like island noodles is everywhere. That was the only thing I did eat there just because we did have a lot of food at our Airbnb. So I usually tried to have like a big meal before I went to the festival. And then I usually would eat back at our Airbnb before after hours. So really, the only time I had food was the day that we went in for the full day on Saturday, and I got island noodles, which is like one of my favorite festival foods. I also did get ice cream, which kind of I thought was like a ripoff. Like it was $9, and it was like literally this big, the thing of Ben and Jerry's. I thought I was getting half a pint. Like I thought it was a half a pint and it ended up being this big. And that really I don't think has anything to do with ARC either. That's just like individual food vendors and their pricing for festivals. So this guy's ice cream truck, that's what he was pricing out, but I would like to recommend that ARC gets a smoothie place or a ice cream place. I would have killed to have an ice cream the day that it was so humid and hot on Saturday, or a smoothie or like something. Like our stomachs were a little upset from like drinking at the afters the night before and then going in so early, and like we would have just like killed for something like that. So just a little recommendation with that. As far as the other vendors like clothing, first of all, their official merch, bravo, on point. I'm wearing the official merch right here, and I will show you. I kind of have like a video of it, but I ended up with this t-shirt just because of the art. It like reminded me of kind of like the 1930s cartoon art, similar to like the Mickey like whistling, and it's the ARC logo, and I don't know, I just love it. It says ARC Music Festival, it says House Techno Chicago, which is kind of like their branding, has the colors. It's like this gray tie-dye, just love it, love it. They really killed it with their merch. It was really hard to decide what to get. And as far as the other clothing vendors, what I liked about it was they had people that were from Chicago, basically. So they had Spy Bar, they had Ferris Wheel Recordings, which is Gene Ferris's record label. He's from Chicago. They had the Evolve tent. So they had like all these people that are from Chicago within the scene. They were the ones that were vending there, and I thought that was kind of like a nice like touch because most festivals just have vendors from wherever, right? But they really were like staying true to like this is a Chicago festival, like this Chicago is our home, Chicago's the home house, you know what I mean? So I really really love that. Okay, so for staff, security, and volunteers, everyone I dealt with was nice. Every single person I dealt with was nice. Even the bartenders, when I couldn't find the water station and I was like semi freaking out, like they were like really nice, even though I was like semi freaking out about like having to pay for water. Like, yeah, everyone was just super nice. The security I felt like was good. I wish security kind of had like wands or something, especially being in a major city like Chicago where people can carry and stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, the first day, I just remember, like, okay, make sure, like, if you have weapons or anything, don't have them with you. And I was like, what? Like, like, but yeah, I just think like maybe they could add some wands or something that might up the security. But other than that, everyone was super nice. All right, so the attendee vibes. Ah. Ugh, I love this festival, you guys. Okay, it was definitely an older, more mature crowd, which I do find you find that at house and techno events because I don't know, like I just feel like it's all the OG house heads that go to these events, or people like me that have been going to these events for like 10 years, you know what I mean, or more. A lot of these DJs that spin this genre of music are, in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s. Like there's only like a few that are like, in their 30s, I would say. You know what I mean? So I just feel like it is that older generation of dance music lovers. So I really I love that. I'm a big fan of that. Also, attendee fashion, fucking On point. Oh my God. I felt like there was so much like 90s aesthetic coming back. There was like, obviously the bucket hats have been huge lately. The berets, like the rectangle chunky glasses, like people were just slaying and I was like loving it. Like I was absolutely just loving everyone's like unique personality. It was just, it was really, really good. Like I definitely like loved the crowd. All right, so getting out of the festival, most days we did leave early around 9:30, except for the last night I stayed until the close, and even then I felt like I walked with my new friends to their car and it wasn't so bad getting out of there. This was a really good location for a city festival because most city festivals are hard to get to, a pain in the ass to get to, pain in the ass to get dropped off, pain in the ass to leave, and I just did not feel that way with ARC at all. So I felt like it was compared to other city festivals very easy to get in and out. Um, you know, it didn't feel like an eternity like other festivals, and yeah, super easy. All right, the price. So, just breaking down the price system a little bit for anyone that may be interested in going. So, my global ticket was $483.50. My Airbnb, which was for 5 days between five people, was $200. So, that was like a big win. The location kind of wasn't the greatest, but that was a big win for sure. Only paying $200 for 5 days. Drinks and food at the festival and the club, I would just say anywhere from probably on average $15 each. So I would say I probably spent around $200 over the weekend. Food, drinks at the Airbnb, probably around $160. And the Uber, between taking an Uber from the airport and all the rides, I probably spent $200. Probably could have definitely cut costs on Uber by taking the Blue Line 100%. Like that would be the cheapest option, but it just didn't work out that way. So I would say without airfare, I probably dropped about $1,300. So for someone that goes to so many festivals like me, I do feel like it kind of put a big dent in my wallet, but I have zero regrets because I had such an amazing time and I will definitely be going back to this festival every single time I'm not at Burning Man. I will be going to ARC 100%. So I think it's totally worth it. I do think city festivals are more expensive than camping festivals, if I'm being completely honest. So it just kind of depends on what your vibe is. If you prefer to be in a hotel and not camping, you're going to pay more because of that. I do think I would do global again because I really liked having the areas to be able to sit down. I'm, not getting any younger at all these events. So I did like those areas. And, typically I'm a GA person, so I do think I would recommend doing global for anyone that's interested in going. I'm not sure if Icon is really worth it for me personally because I don't drink hard liquor. So with the Icon, you get all free drinks, you have some free food options, you have some private parties and stuff like that. Um, it would be cool for like the free sushi and the free food and eating and stuff like that. And then like I do drink beer and White Claws, so I mean yeah, it might work out, but honestly I don't think that I spent probably like $200 throughout the whole weekend, not like $200 to $300 a day on drinks. And so if you're like a big drinker or like only drink hard liquor, like doubles, then it may be worth it to get Icon for you. But for me personally, I don't think Icon is worth it. So that's the pricing system. Overall experience, I think I've said it a million times, had an amazing, amazing time. I definitely, like for a second year event, totally blown away with how well run it is, how, you know, I talked about some of the things that I didn't like. I talked about some of the cons, and honestly, a lot of those cons were things that got resolved. So they really killed it. They really did an amazing job. You can't beat the talent. If you're a house and techno fan, you can't beat the vibes. You can't beat Chicago. Like, it's an amazing city. So overall experience was amazing. Yeah. So I can't wait to go back. I want to thank everyone that's involved in ARC for having us in this at this beautiful festival in this beautiful city. And yeah, let's do it again next year or whenever I get the chance. Like I said, I wanted to alternate between Burning Man and ARC pretty much every other year. So that's my plan from now on. And yeah, I'll see you at the next one. Thank you guys for watching this video. And yeah, see you in the next video or at the next festival.